Hi, kitty cats. I am Amethysta Herrick, your hostess for the Purplepaw, a bi-weekly discussion from your friends down here at the Purplepaw clan, exploring the intersection of identity and gender, sexuality and intimacy, and community and spirituality. This content right here is being brought to you by supporters of the Purplepaw clan. If you are already a supporter, let me just first of all thank you so much for your ongoing support. You know pretty well that subscribers not only receive new content directly to their email inboxes as soon as it publishes, but are also able to interact with every contributor directly, which includes me. And I know I want to interact with me, and you probably do too. So, if you would like to support shows just like this one, as well as other podcasts, videos, and written articles by our contributors, I hope you will consider subscribing using the links that you're going to find down there in the show notes. Well, I am beyond thrilled to introduce my guest today, Dr. Erica Deuso. Hello, Erica.
Hello. How are you doing today?
I am doing so amazing. I cannot believe, first of all, that I'm talking to you. Let me finish my introduction. I want to talk about how I met Erica, but Erica is a scientist, a businesswoman, an advocate for marginalized communities, and just recently, mayor-elect of Downingtown, Pennsylvania. I learned how to pronounce that watching one of your videos. I said it wrong before. Oops. I also want to point out, so Erica is the first openly transgender mayor in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That's hard for me to say. I don't know why Commonwealth is difficult. But
yeah, it's weird. There's only a few Commonwealths, but we're one of them, and people get really upset if you say state of Pennsylvania.
So I recognized that. I was going to say state, and then I was like, maybe I should hold that back. So what's funny, the way I met Erica, so I featured you in a video right after the election and said how amazing that you have done this. You have made this had this big accomplishment, and you actually liked the video. I'm scrolling through. I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, is this person for real? And we started talking, and now here we are, a couple weeks later. So I am just ridiculously honored, and I do want to say that to you. I'm all aflutter.
Yeah, we
got here.
We were amazed by the amount of press, the amount of people who cared, the amount of reaction to this, positive and negative. And that's one of the things I wish I would have prepared a little bit more for is, how to handle victory, because it's not something we really planned for. We were working on the campaign up until the last day. There was no time to train on, hey, what happens if you win? What's going to really happen? Right. So we were just waiting for, maybe the Philadelphia Inquirer, maybe another couple local groups, but this has taken off. And so we were looking through all of our social medias to see who was saying what, and popped on Twitter, and there you were. So always happy to see.
On TikTok, actually.
On TikTok, not Twitter. TikTok.
Yeah, but I was amazed you saw it. Well, because it was so great to see this one election. You know what? Can I hold off? I love to talk about the reaction to that whole election, or talk about how that election went. But let me get to it. I also cut you off, and I apologize. I interrupted you when you were.
No worries.
All right, good. So I want to start off. I love to call them origin stories too. You chose possibly one of the worst times, I would say, to get into politics right now in 2025. What in the world inspired you to get into politics right now?
Well, funny story. So we went to, let me take a step back.
Okay.
August of 2024, I got an email saying that I could go and register for the vice presidential reveal in Philadelphia. And I would be somebody through my work with the Democratic Party. I could get in and be there for when Kamala Harris introduced her running mate. So I said, hey, I'm getting this special entrance, but hey, my friend Courtney and the current mayor of Downingtown, Phil, they were interested in coming too. Well, I got down on the floor. They were up in the rafters, and they were up and watching it from up there. But during the trip there, the current mayor said, "Erica, I don't think I'm going to run for mayor again, and I need a strong Democrat to take my place because we can't let the Republicans win this because who knows what's going to happen to our town."
Right.
Would you be interested in running? And so when the mayor of your town asks you to step up to now lead your town, that's something you really think about. The interesting thing is that he never thought about this as the first trans person to ever be mayor in Pennsylvania. He never thought about this, my background at all. It was, hey, you're a strong Democrat. You've worked for years getting other people elected. People in this town know you. They love you. They want to do things for this town, and I think you'd be a great choice. And so, that was what really got me thinking about running for mayor of our town. And then last December, I announced in December. But that was before Trump came into office. And, he came into the office and had all these executive orders. And then I thought, you know what? I think I really made the right decision here because, someone needed to push back against that. And, what better way to push back than to get elected mayor of your town in the midst of this terrible time for not just the trans community, but all marginalized communities.
Right. And I have seen, you made the point, it had nothing to do with being first openly transgender mayor, yada, yada. Because gender identity, there was no part of your campaign that focused on gender identity, right?
Right. There was times when I would get an endorsement, like when I was endorsed for Advocates for Trans Equality or the Victory Fund or LPAC or those groups that do endorse people based on identity, sexual orientation, gender identity. I would announce that. I would say I'm happy to have this endorsement.
Of course.
But there was never a point where I was posting things saying like, oh, I'm going to be the first trans person. That actually came from a news source because I really wasn't even aware of it until someone actually pointed it out. And that's how it is. I've been out for 16 years. And it's, my gender identity, my worrying about who I am or what my identity is, it ranks somewhere around like, what did I have for dinner 2 days ago? I don't think about it.
Right.
Unless something bad is happening to me, I don't think about what I had for dinner 2 days ago. Same as I don't worry about my gender identity now. So it never really occurred to me to look up these things like, is this important? Is this historic? And so, it wasn't until someone had told me from the daily local news that, hey, you're going to make history if you're elected. And, oh, that's cool. Let's get back to talking about flooding. That's and that's just the type of person I am. I'm more concerned about mitigating flooding in my town or worried about our businesses filling our empty storefronts than I am worried about, the history aspect of this. Is it cool? Yeah. Is it getting me some press now? Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's not going to help my neighbors afford their homes any easier.
Certainly not. And thank you. Well, I appreciate how you framed that. Because I know you said, I think it's been 16 years. You said that since you began transition. Because you've lived in Downingtown, I believe, for 18. Is that right?
That is correct.
These are people who have watched you become as well. And have known you as Erica for 16 years. It's not like you swooped in and said, "Hi, here I am." And
yeah, exactly.
It's amazing.
And my neighbors were really great about everything. And the first neighbor who found out about my transition, it happened because I was wearing a new winter coat. When I was outside, it was snowing, and I was helping her shovel out her car.
Okay.
And she's like, "Oh, that's a nice coat." And I said, "Yeah, I just got it. It's good." And she's like, that's really interesting. I think I have the same one. And I said, oh, well, that's interesting. Did you get it at this store? And she's like, yeah, I got it there. So if you're wearing the same coat as me, what's going on here? And I'm like, well, here's the situation. But it was never something big. It was never something huge for her. It was never something huge for any of my other neighbors. In fact, one of my other neighbors, her daughter ended up transitioning. She has one gay daughter and one trans daughter. And she started transitioning, and she was living there, and she came up to me and said, Erica, my daughter is transitioning. She doesn't know anything about what she needs to do to actually do this. Could you talk to her and tell her what she needs to do and things like that? Well, sure. I'm very open about that, but whenever she has time. And so my community has really been there and rally around me. But most of the people, they don't care. It's just, as I said, is my gender identity going to help them, afford their apartments? No.
Certainly not. Yeah.
So
I think it's great. I don't know. I feel like there are people who go, well, gender identity does affect politics or your intellect or because I introduced you as Dr. Erica Deuso as well. You mentioned to me earlier, do you mind just dropping your educational background again? I just like to hear it.
Yeah. Dual bachelor's, biology, chemistry, master's in bioinformatics, Ph.D. in biochemistry, focusing on the neuroscience and endocrinology and proteomics of human Alzheimer's disease. And then I also have an MBA in pharmaceutical management.
I just want to sit with that for a moment. That's a whole lot of credentials there. And none of those credentials has anything to do with gender identity. It all has played into you're just qualified for the job. Mm-hmm. And the town sees this. Was it a town, city? What do we call it?
It's a borough.
A borough, okay.
Yeah, so we're in the borough of Downingtown.
Okay, and the borough knows this. The gender identity is not the same as politics, and
it was interesting. One thing.
No, please go ahead. Yeah.
One thing that I found looking at comments online.
Yeah.
Somebody said, you know what? I'm just finding out now that she's trans. It doesn't matter. I love the way she talked about her comprehensive plans for public safety. And I guess that's just the thing that I'm most proud of, is that in 11 months I was able to craft public policy about public safety, about flooding, about business revitalization, about our environment, working with experts from around the area, from around the country, that people really kind of bought into, and they want to see real changes. And that's what I'm proud of. Yes, I'm proud to be a role model for the trans community, for people who want to follow in my footsteps going into public service. But at the end of the day, I'm a townie. I want to get things done for my town. I want to get things done for the people who are my neighbors.
Yeah. I mean, like we do. I don't know if there's any other way to put that. And so now I had mentioned I would love to revisit why these elections went the way they did. And certainly, your gender identity, it doesn't sound like had anything to do with why you were elected. I think it was sort of in spite of why you were elected. Is that what I want to say? It doesn't. That's not really. But because the current administration obviously spent a whole lot of money on anti-gender diversity type advertising. And I think the Conservative Party thought, oh, well, this is a winning ticket then. And so I noticed a lot of them leaned into it. There was the Virginia governor race in particular that I mentioned in that same video I talked about you. And it failed. And I think that is just an indication that gender identity makes a whole lot less difference than like quality of the person and like the quality of their policy, as you've demonstrated. So
Right.
what do you think on that, by the way?
Well, I think there was a wave. It was a pushback against the current administration at the top. So it
Yes.
filtered all the way down to the lowest municipal elections, and then filtered back up to, our governor races. I think our midterms next year look really good for us right now.
Yes.
But I think, at least for me, and I can't speak for any other campaign, people just didn't care about those sort of things.
Right.
My opponent in the primary was a transphobic Democrat. Yeah, posting a whole bunch of things, and even going to the point of saying that trans people owe it to men to get rid of their genitals because they seem to be tricking men if they keep them. And I'm like, well, you're a 75-year-old man with a ponytail. I don't think you can be talking about anybody needing to get rid of something. So, and then my general election opponent was just terrible, misogynist, transphobic, homophobic, anything that you can pin on the Trump administration. That's what was pinned on him.
Sure.
Because we had the tweets, we saw his old tweets. Get this, somebody found 5 of his tweets, not even really terrible tweets, but published them on their page. Sure. He found out that somebody published them and then deleted his entire Twitter account. As if that's going to stop me from going to the Wayback Machine and finding all of his tweets.
Right.
So we found all of them, and then he came back and told us that we fabricated all of those tweets, that they were AI generated tweets. I'm like, do you know how much time and effort it would go into making AI tweets? I'm not even that bad of a person. I can't even imagine thinking of the things that he said.
Right. I saw that quote too. They were all AI generated, but to paraphrase, Queen Gertrude in Hamlet, the candidate doth protest too much, methinks.
Exactly.
Poor kid.
I've used that quote many times to when people start talking about, genitals or, how I'm, trans people are molesters or groomers or something like that. And I'm like, every accusation is a confession nowadays.
Oh, yeah,
so if you have this much time to be worrying about what's in my pants, then you must be putting what's in your pants to work. And it's probably not something you want anybody else to know about.
Almost certainly not. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny, but yeah, it's one of those things where I'm just focused on the things that we have to do for this town, the things that we have to do for this country. The thing is, and I think the first time I heard this, it was Laverne Cox who said this. Okay. They're worried about the wrong 1%. Right now with groceries costing too much, gas costing too much, housing costing too much, and we're giving trillions of dollars of tax breaks to the wealthy, while people who are just out here trying to make a living are struggling. Right. And now the Trump administration wants to say, oh, let's do 50-year mortgages. If somebody who buys their house, typically the average age somebody buys a house is 41 years old.
Oh gosh, is it that high?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 50-year mortgage puts you paying your mortgage into your 90s.
Yeah. You're not going to get there. Come on.
No, exactly. Unless you have good genes. And then, thankfully, my grandfather lived to 94, so I'm hopeful.
But you also have to pay a mortgage for 50 years. Could your grandfather pay a mortgage at 94?
No. The average person who would get a mortgage and have a 50-year mortgage would pay $600,000 extra in interest.
Oh gosh, that's a whole house. Well, mortgages are kind of wacky anyway, but still.
I'm glad I bought in the aughts, and I bought for very low, but my house now I bought for $195,000.
Wow.
In 2007. It's approaching $400,000 right now. So
right.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Same with our house. Yeah, our house has doubled in value. When we only bought it 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years. I mean, it's really stunning just how everything continues to get expensive. And you have politicians who are like, it's not true. We're gonna make sure that people who have billions of dollars will trickle down their money without actually ever asking the question. All right, here's my little rant. Because the idea, right, of trickle-down economics is that if you allow a business owner to hold on to the money, then the business owner will plow it back into the business. Supposed to be the idea. Plow it into the employees. Plow it into R&D and making the environment around the business better, right? We can... Like, maybe that happens in small businesses, but we can look at Amazon right now. They're laying people off. Microsoft laying people off. What was the other one I saw? I think Tesla even laying people off. If you could indicate that this was actually occurring, then okay. But when what you're doing is saying, well, we want to make sure that these people can hold on to their $100 billion so that ...
Yeah. Well,
So
for what? Yeah. I mean, conservative superhero Ronald Reagan said that's how things work with trickle-down economics, but it didn't work with him. It didn't work with George H.W. Bush. It didn't work with George W. Bush. Obviously, it isn't working with Trump. So, again, going back to science, like we've witnessed this. We've witnessed the economics of the Republican Party. It's worse. Real GDP growth under Republican administrations is about 1%. No, it's about 2.4%. Job growth under Republicans is 1%, and you compare that to 2.4% GDP growth under Democrats, and I think 3% for job growth under Democrats.
Significant.
When you look at what the Democratic Party does for the economy, it's night and day. And I wish more people actually could look at the data and not say, well, I believe that Republicans are better at this, instead of trying to say, like, oh, look at the data doesn't lie. And that's the problem right now.
Right.
The current administration has kept people from using critical thinking skills. Mm-hmm. And, people just feel like they can turn off their brains and just listen to him instead of thinking like, oh, well, the data doesn't lie. Yeah. And he's taught people that, to quote 1984, to ignore what ignore what you're seeing, ignore what you're hearing, and only listen to what the government says.
Right. You read Animal Farm. My family read that just recently, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so like current politics. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, Orwell was a visionary in that way.
Obviously. You brought up Ronald Reagan. My understanding of trickle-down economics comes directly from Ronald Reagan. I'm a bit older than you are, by the way, but I think I'm 10 years older, if I remember correctly. So, what was I going to say? And I guess just to provide a counterpoint on that, there was a stunning amount of growth in the economy. A lot of it was financed and turned into debt. And that's, one of the things that I suppose ultimately we go, well, was that beneficial or not? And ultimately it was like, well, no, that was not beneficial, because we sort of mortgaged the future to the hope that the growth was going to catch up. But if your growth ends up being people holding on to $100 billion, once again, as you've mentioned, the data indicates that this did not work. So I don't know what else to say.
Right.
So
I bet you didn't expect this to turn into a conversation about global finance.
No. I did not, but all right. Well, I'll bring us back on topic, which is not really on topic because the question I was going to ask was, I mean, you did face a lot of hate, you know, in the course of this election, and just in general, because I don't want to diminish the transgender community in general faces a lot of hate. Mm-hmm. I know this just as well as you do. What the hell was I going to say about it? It was pretty good. Oh, like I think you even had like Turning Point come after. Yeah. It was a Turning Point Action Pennsylvania, I think it was.
Yeah, so there's a group on Facebook. It's called Uncanceled, and they are just the worst of the worst people, posting anti-Semitic, anti-LGBTQ, homophobic memes, and just the worst things that you can imagine. Well, then the people from that decided they wanted to make one that was more accessible for people, so it wouldn't be those terrible memes that they have, but it would still be very much leaning to the right. So, so they created one called Downingtown Community Uncensored. And originally the thought was, let's just give everybody a chance to say whatever they want, no matter what. Free speech absolutism, except for the people who were running it were far right wing. They were the founders of the Chester County chapter of Turning Points USA. And they used these different things to basically be platforms to go against me. And I know that because as soon as I won, they shut up. They haven't said a single word about me.
Of course.
But it was a daily thing. I was getting people talking about everything from my gender identity, which they talked about my gender identity more than I ever did.
Amazing.
They made up things like I want to have substitute teachers at our middle school teach students gender ideology. I want to have drag queens parading through our streets, and I want to replace all the American flags with pride flags. And I'm like, no, I never said any of those things. That's your fever dream talking, because that's not anything I ever wanted. They were just bringing up the worst things. They were talking about, how it's bad that I was getting endorsements.
Of course.
Political people, they get endorsements. That's how you raise money. That's how you get your voice out there. Some of your money, not all of your money.
Yeah,
but it's how you get your name out there. It's how people come to support you. And the only reason they were upset is because my opponent didn't get any endorsements.
But that should sort of say something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it says something if no one's willing to put their name on an endorsement for you.
Right. Did you, in the face of all of this, because it sounds terrible. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This sounds hateful, discriminatory, just awful. At any point did you go, that's it, I'm out. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to take this anymore. Being mayor of this borough isn't worth it to take all of this hate. So
as I said, I've been out for 16 years. I have heard everything. I have heard every slur, every comment, every supposition that these people can come up with. It gets old after a while, and it becomes background noise. There were people, who said things that I knew came from a place of ignorance.
Sure. Somebody
had mentioned, bottom surgery and how it's just mutilation or you're just cutting it off. And I said, actually, and they're like, you could just go into the hospital, get it done today and you're done. And I'm like, no, really? Actually, there's a whole process, starts with mental health, mental health care. You go through that for a little bit. They might write you a letter to go to an endocrinologist who's going to prescribe you medication. And then you're going to be on that for, 12 to 18 months. And then you're going to have to go to a second mental health person to get a second letter to say that you're ready for any kind of surgery. And most people don't even start with bottom surgery. It's usually a facial surgery or a chest surgery. And then, they do that and then they see where they're at and then they continue on and then maybe they get bottom surgery, but then they need to stay in mental health care to get that done. And it's a long process. It takes years. And then even then, the operation, at least for a person transitioning from male to female is literally just rearranging of everything that you have down there, like Picasso style. This part goes to become this thing, and this part goes to become this thing, and it's all the same tissue. From a physiological aspect, it's just a matter of whether it's expressed outwards or inwards. So, that's all you're doing, is you're just rearranging things. Very little of it is wasted, like the buffaloes on the Great Plains. The Indians, the Native Americans, wasted very little bit of the buffalo. And it's the same here. We waste very little bit of the buffalo.
I did not consider my vaginoplasty to be similar to buffaloes, but thank you for.
Native Americans hunting buffalo. Yeah, I heard that from somebody else.
Did you? Okay. Because hair removal. Imagine how awful that hair removal must have been. If you, well, it's sort of like a buffalo down there. So, how much electrolysis are we looking at? 17 years. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. It's like, count all the grains of sand on the beach, and then you'll know how long it'll take you.
Right. So you turn these into learning moments.
Yeah. And so
that's fascinating.
I had one person, who had made one of these offhanded comments where they said, I still don't agree with it, but at least I know that it isn't something that's done immediately. And I said, and I just said, yeah, it's not something that's done really fast. It's something that takes time.
Right.
No child is in a guidance counselor's office getting gender affirming surgery.
Right.
You send them off to school in the morning as a boy and they come home a girl. That doesn't happen. Right. It's about the same as having litter boxes in bathrooms. That doesn't happen. It's a fear mongering, and that's what we have to get through.
We do. I love I love that. You make the analogy, the idea of the kid going to school, a boy, and coming home a girl. I think of like this strip mall. I grew up in California, in Los Angeles. So there's strip malls all over the place. And you have like, Yum Yum Donuts or something. Like I'm thinking of, quickie vaginoplasty or something, a quickie GAS or something at the end of like a strip mall right next to the Yum Yum Donuts or something. Kid goes down and goes, I think I'm going to go get like a French cruller. Actually, I think I'm going to go get a French cruller and then like drop by for a vaginoplasty. Do you want to come with? I'm going to go home. I'm going to play some PlayStation. Okay, it's cool. All right, well, I'll see you tomorrow after my vaginoplasty.
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of foolishness is that? Like how? But that I think is what they're trying to pitch.
Yeah,
and it's not true.
No, it's not true. It's fear. It's ignorance, and they think they can trick people into believing it, and they can. And that's the sad thing, is that, again, going back to that lack of critical thinking. If people had any idea about, a friend of mine had to have their knee replaced. They were in the hospital for 2 days. The fact that they think that they can send their child off to school, have major reconstructive surgery, and then come home in the afternoon, no, that you have to lay flat on your back for 3 days. Come on, if people actually looked into this, they would know how stupid it is. It's the same same thing about having a child sex ring out of a pizza parlor in Washington D.C.
Oh, jeez. You had to bring that up.
It's just as stupid, probably stupider.
Yeah. I was in the hospital for 9 days actually, but I went to Thailand though. It was such amazing care, so truly stunning health care. Not to mention, and this is totally unrelated, but actually pretty salient when it comes down to it. All of the nurses wore these really beautiful lavender like skirt suit type things. It was the greatest thing ever. People walking in, I'm going to take your blood pressure. I'm like, that's great. That's a beautiful skirt suit. That's great. Way off the wall. and as long as I'm
here,
right. But as long as I'm off the wall, have you joined WPATH by any chance?
Well, I'm not a practitioner. I'm not a.
Neither am I.
I didn't know you could actually join WPATH as a non-practitioner.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I have a maybe I'm on. I mean, because I'm a full voting member, but I do, I guess, actually do guidance type stuff. So I don't know. Maybe that is practice. I don't know. I got to tell you now, I'm not sure. WPATH, if you're out there, I guess send me a letter. I don't know.
I mean, I'm part
good.
of I'm part of HRC, part
Okay.
of PFLAG,
Oh, good.
and part of the Pennsylvania Equality Project, where we advocate around the state of Pennsylvania for this. And I'm on the board of directors of a group called Emerge.
Oh, okay.
Little plug for Emerge. If anybody, any of your listeners are interested, running for office, women, primarily women and non-binary people can apply to be in Emerge. And what it does is it trains people to run for and win public office.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's a 6-month program. You meet 1 month, 1 weekend a month, usually off-site somewhere, or on the internet, and then you learn from the best of the best. You learn from, one of our communications teachers was the head of comms for Planned Parenthood.
Oh, wow.
So when
Okay.
you're learning from people who have to be good at what they do to
Right.
be in there, and we get women elected. So this year, Emerge Pennsylvania, of all the people who ran, I think 2 of the people who ran in Pennsylvania didn't get elected. It was a 92% election rate
Wow.
of alumni from our group in
That
Pennsylvania.
is significant. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I'm on the Pennsylvania Board of Directors, but if anybody's interested, they can reach out and, ask for more information.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for that resource. That's a good. I will. I'll stick a link in the show notes. If you don't, if you have a moment, maybe send me a link or even put it in the show notes there. But that'd be great. So all of this, when you can take this hate, because I'm going to tell you, I mean, what you talk about or what you've been doing, this is real activism, where you take hate coming in and turn it into like a learning type of opportunity. That truly is being a role model, and then not just for the transgender community. I would say for the entire queer community, the ability to transmute this hate into a learning opportunity. Truly a role model. And I know you mentioned that at the beginning. I guess I don't know. One of the questions I guess I want to ask is like how can we continue that? How do we teach people? You mentioned Emerge. How do we teach people also how to be better advocates for themselves, for the queer community, and I guess allies get into this too? You're doing this. How do we get more people like you doing what you do? You're like, this is a terrible question. I'm like, no, I know, but this is what I got. Do you want to go back to global finance? Because we can talk.
No. I think that time has passed.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So I think when we're looking at role models and how do we become better allies for each other, for our communities, for even our towns that we live in. Even straight cisgender people who, maybe they're suffering right now. Maybe they have needs for food insecurity or housing insecurity. How do we become better allies? The way I look at it is that I'm never going to feel bad about myself or anything I do as long as I'm doing it for the right reasons. And I think a lot of people feel like they don't have the ability, they don't have the words, they don't have the training to go out there and talk to people with authority about things. But as long as you're doing the right thing, as long as you're standing up for yourself, for other people, for people who might not have a voice, you're never going to be doing the wrong thing. So I think when it comes to the activism bit of it, being a role model for other people, it's just, is this the right thing to do?
Right.
And I would never personally call out somebody for trying and failing. You know, if somebody
Right.
came up, and I've had people during this campaign who've stood up for me and, said, like, I don't know, they've said, this is so great. We have the first transsexual mayor in all of Pennsylvania. Transsexual is kind of an antiquated word. I don't use it. Some people do. I don't use it. It's not how I identify.
Right.
But they came at it from a good place. They came at it from a place that was good intentioned. And I'm never going to tell somebody, no, don't say that, because you're coming at it from a good place. My grandfather, he was talking about things that happened in World War II.
Wow.
And he was talking about when the planes were flying over his ships and things like that, and using the wrong language of today to describe what happened, 70, 80 years ago. I'm never going to call him out and say, like, oh, you're using the wrong words now, because, back then these people were trying to kill him. And,
Yes.
And so he's telling me a story about, the people in the Pacific Theater. I'm not going to correct him if he says, if he comes to me and says, I'm not sure if I should be saying this word or not. And I can say, well, we don't call those people that anymore. It's the Japanese people. Or he would be talking about having Chinese food for dinner, and he would use the word Oriental.
Of course.
And I'm like, Pepe, that's, Oriental food. We don't use Oriental anymore. That's not a word that's used. A lot of people who are people from Asia don't like that word. So we just say Asian food or Chinese food or something like that. And he's like, oh, okay. So up until he passed a few years ago, he was constantly learning, constantly trying to get better. And he was one of the few people in my life who never messed up my name, never messed up my pronouns. He immediately went straight to it, took everything up, and he was great. But he was constantly learning up until the time that he passed. And I think we can all do that. We can all keep learning. And that means not just learning things that we believe, but actually taking time to learn things that other people believe, and formulating things, not just having to fly off the cuff all the time and think, oh, is this the right thing to say? Is this, or just, let's be more intentional with the way that we talk about things. I can tell you, like, my parents, they weren't always the greatest with names or pronouns, but I had a lot of grace for them. They knew one person for 29 years, and coming off from that, that's going to take some time. So, I think we can all be advocates for ourselves. We can all be advocates for other people, and let's use grace to get through this. A little bit of humor too. Humor doesn't hurt.
Listen, your love and respect for your grandfather shines through. It looks like you both learn from each other, and I think that's beautiful. What's interesting, especially since you bring up language, is we get a lot of people who say, well, the whole like gender ideology, which of course has no real definition, of course, but the gender ideology is just about language. It's about being the language police, right? The pronoun police, I think I've heard it called. You just told a story that it was absolutely not, that it's more respect than anything. And of course, I don't want to pretend gender ideology exists, okay?
Right.
If you thought that, you were wrong. But so I think I'm just wondering, let me drop that. What do you think about that? I mean, language police, it's not. It's a mutual respect kind of thing.
Yeah.
What do you say?
It's a respect thing. If you want to tell me, okay, I'll give you an example. somebody's name is Elizabeth. They come up to you and they say, hey, you don't have to call me Elizabeth. You can call me Beth. Great. I'll call you Beth. That's what you prefer. Yeah. I'm not going to say, well, your name isn't Beth. It's Elizabeth. So I'm going to call you Elizabeth because I don't believe in nicknames. I don't believe in shortening people's names.
Yeah, right. Right.
Nobody has a problem with nicknames. Nobody has a problem, shortening a name of Richard to Rich, or Stephen to Steve. Yeah. Why is it so hard to say, oh, well, you prefer to be called Erica? Then great, I'm going to call you Erica now. It's a respect thing, and
it is.
When someone tells you who they are, you should respect that. Because it's what we'd all expect for people to do.
Right.
I don't call this somebody whose name is Bruce. I don't call them Donald because I think you look more like a Donald or a Mike. I call you Bruce because that's your name.
Yes.
And that's how you prefer to be addressed. And the fact that people say like, oh, what's your real name? So many people just started guessing that my dead name was Eric, and I'm like, no, not that easy.
Oh, that's great, actually. I'm glad.
And I'm like, yeah, sorry, what's it called? Family Feud, Big X. And no. I actually had one person who just guessed a bunch of names. And I'm like, well, you got 3 chances. You get 3 X's, and then the other team can go on and steal the points.
Right.
So,
oh my gosh,
it's about respect.
Steve Harvey would be so proud right now. I tell you, Steve.
So it's just about respect. So if somebody wants she, her pronouns, I don't care if they have a beard and body hair all over their bodies. Hey, it's not going to hurt me to say she or her.
It isn't.
And even then, if you don't know, use gender non-specific pronouns. Use they and them pronouns until you know. And don't just guess, because, hey, people care more. People care more about when you misgender their pets. Then,
oh my gosh, I know.
This is my dog. Oh, what's her name? His name is Mo. That's my dog's name. And people care about that a lot more than if I was to say, oh, this person I work with, oh, he is this, and then they say, oh, just so you know that this person is actually female. If you don't know their names, if you've never met them, you might not know, male, female names, especially if it's a foreign name. So, people care a lot more about the correct gendering of their dog, other people.
Excellent point. I've used that example too, where it's like going up to somebody and the person goes, "Hi, my name is Erica. Let me go with this. My name is Erica." And you go, "Okay, well, scientifically, you look like a Mike. I'm just going to call you Mike because scientifically, this is what I've determined." And you're like, "But there's no Eric. My name's Erica. Like it's always been Erica." Anyway,
here, I will provide you my birth certificate. Here. And
right? You changed yours, by the way, because so did I.
Yeah. That for a Vermont birth certificate, it was super simple. I changed my name legally and literally sent it in. The court sent me back a new birth certificate, so that was easy.
Right. Same. We're actually we're coming a little low on time. I have a question that I wanted to ask you, and it's not on the show notes, so sorry. Not like global finance was either, but there's a lot of this stuff is not, right?
Yeah.
I told you it's going to go all over. When I introduced you, so your legacy right now as it stands, as mayor of Downingtown in Pennsylvania, I introduced you as the first openly transgender mayor, right? That's your legacy as it stands. What do you want your legacy to be when you leave office?
I want my legacy to be that the time that a hurricane hit Pennsylvania, people didn't lose their houses. Our businesses didn't have to close for 6 months. I want people to remember me as the mayor who was there for people who had to clean up after our next big flood on the Brandywine Creek. I want to be known as the person who got affordable housing into our neighborhoods, who filled our boroughs businesses with thriving businesses and attracted people to town who would come here and spend their money. And I want to be known as the good neighbor mayor. Somebody who, if you want to just come up to me and talk to me about something going on in your neighborhood, then great. I want to be the person who's there listening to you. And I'll tell you just a real quick funny story.
Yeah.
When I first started running, I went to a brewery, and there was the owner of the brewery was sitting at the bar, and I went up and talked to him, and somebody else came in and was sitting there, and I had gone back to another table, and he asks the owner, so, with Mayor Phil not running again, who's going to be running for mayor? And the owner turns around and points at me and says, she's running for mayor. And he turns around and he's like, oh, that is so awesome, but why do you want to be mayor? People are just going to be coming up to you, telling you about potholes and speed bumps and things like that. And I kid you not, at 11:35, 11:40 on election night, we knew that we had an insurmountable lead in the election. My friend Courtney is sitting right next to me, and we're all celebrating and hugging and, congratulations and everything. And she turns to me and says, okay, Erica, let's talk about that speed bump in my neighborhood. And I'm like, I kid you not, that was the first thing someone asked me about, knowing that I'd be the next mayor. And that's what I want to worry about. I want to worry about making sure everybody's safe in this town. And that's what I want to be remembered for.
Yes. Thank you. You gave me goosebumps. I wish I could have voted for you.
And if somebody remembers me as being the first trans mayor, that's great. But let me tell you, I've talked to about 2,100 people from this town, multiple hundreds of other people from other towns over the course of this campaign. And I can tell you that everybody's asking what's next. What's the next thing you're going to run for? Is it going to be commissioner, or is it going to be a state rep or a U.S. rep, or where are you going next? And I got to tell you, the same thing I told everybody else. I'm focused on the next 4 years of being mayor. That's where my mind is right now. And, I hope that in the next 4 years, when elections come back, people will see what I've accomplished and be willing to vote for me again. Yeah.
Thank you. So well put.
You're not getting a scoop. Don't worry.
Well, I kind of hesitated to say, well, is it going to keep going up? Are you going to keep going for, like you said, commissioner, state rep, U.S. rep? I mean, I hear that, there's going to be a vacancy in the White House this, in 2028. So,
I mean, who knows? It could be sooner. You never know.
We could have. I'll tell you what. If you run for president, would you choose me for vice president? And we can both. It would be the most amazing ticket ever, right? You've got this beautiful cardigan on. I got the fucking purple hair, right? We're all over this.
We are what people would be the fear. Oh, you have this person who's all about cats and has purple hair as the VP, and this boring woman with a cardigan on as president. But oh my God, they're both trans. It's the world's gonna end. Right. Remember when they were talking about Hillary and they said she could have her hormones could be out of whack and then she could push the button and start a war.
Right.
And I'm like, well, yeah, a trans person would be great because our hormones are completely flat.
100% stable, right? I'm injecting twice a week to do that. There's no,
Yeah. We're stable. We don't fluctuate.
Right? No. And, it's not like there aren't. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, if there's anybody fluctuating, it's an epidemic of low testosterone right now in Washington. Because I think there are definitely people in the highest forms of government that could definitely be less compensating for things.
You know exactly what I was going to say. Your diplomacy is so much better. I ended up dropping an F-bomb saying, make me vice president, I'll drop an F-bomb. And your diplomacy, far better than mine. Let me just say that.
I did drop a few bombs on the campaign trail.
Did you? Okay.
You know, somebody was asking me at a vigil about we were having a vigil for somebody whose husband, the father of kids and things, got deported. Well, taken into ICE custody, and he was a pillar of the community. Even now, he's in custody, but he's using his resources to help advocate for other people in custody while he's in there.
Wow.
Somebody asked me, they said, you know, will our police, if you're elected, will our police ever, you know, work with ICE or anything? And the only thing I could think of was, you know, fuck that. You know, that's not happening here. We're not going to be worrying about ICE. Our police are here to protect and serve the residents, all residents of this town, not to be out there, you know, aiding and abetting and kidnapping. I think that's what people need to worry about and know about me, that, you know, we're not going to be party to that train wreck that's happening right now.
It's amazing. It's so beautiful. Well said. Good. I don't know what else to say. Thank you for that. Shoot. I got to tell you, I really don't want to hang up on you because it's like you're just a fun person. You're just like a good time.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's sad that I can no longer go by the title of a fun guy.
Yes, but you didn't do, you know, oh shoot, what is the what is it in biochemistry or biology? What's that study of fungus, of
mycology?
It was a mycology, thank you. I was struggling with that one, mycology. Yeah. It's fine. I think I'm okay. Like, I'm willing to ditch that title of being a fungi to, you know, well, Amethysta. I think I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah.
I would love for people to be able to find you on the internet. I've got, I misspelled Blue Sky. I better fix that. I've got your Blue Sky, your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, your TikTok. How many of these do you use? How do you want people to find you on the internet?
Typically, Instagram and Facebook are going to be the best places.
Okay.
You know, if people want to follow me there, I typically drop more information on there. TikTok I have so I can go on and watch people, you know, podcasters and creators on TikTok. And then, you know, Twitter is just a cesspool, you know, a hive of scum and villainy. Very Moss Eisley, you know, vibes in there lately. But Threads and Blue Sky, I'm on there occasionally.
Okay. I won't even like sugarcoat this. I did not put your Twitter link on these show notes. I can't even allow that to in my show notes, unfortunately. I don't know if you noticed that, but because I'm looking like this row of icons, and I was like, oh, I'll get that. I'll pass over that one, and I'll get that, and I'll get that, and
I still can't bring myself to call it X. It'll always be Twitter.
You know, it's so hilarious when you know, people go, well, dead naming's totally fine, and then you go, oh, well, are you on Twitter? And they go, oh, well, it's called X now, and you go, well, okay, so suddenly dead naming's bad?
Yeah.
Interesting role reversal here, but you've also got ericadeuso.com, which I think is mostly a campaign page, but there's lots more info about you.
Yeah, it's going to be transforming slowly into more of an office page where people can go on there and say, hey, you know, you're this, you know, person in Pennsylvania, we want to get married. You can officiate a wedding now in Pennsylvania. Can you marry us? Or, hey, my partner and I are celebrating 10 years together. Could I get a memorandum from you or something like that? I'm going to put something like that on there so people can reach me, do those sort of things. Or, if you want me to come back on here, or if anybody wants me to appear in person anywhere. I have a couple of things going on already. I've been asked to headline a fundraiser for our local LGBT center here in Pennsylvania. Somebody else for a conference in October of next year. They're already contacting me for that.
Wow.
So slots are filling up fast. Yeah. So everything about me is for sale. Everything must go. Place your bids now.
Jeez.
Sorry, I'm a Simpsons fan.
Yeah.
And there's an episode where Bart sells his soul to Milhouse, and
sure.
And he's like, I'll sell my sense of humor for $5. Everything about me must go. And I love that line.
I love it. I love that. Well, I will tell you, I want to thank you for the gift of your time. This was an hour that you gave me, and I will never forget that. Because you have just been a delight. I thank you so much for all of the work that you do, all of the good that you're doing in the world. It is inspiring, and I just want to say thank you for that. It's truly amazing.
And thank you for all you do. I mean, getting out the word, talking to people, really teaching people about what's going on here in the world. In a time when journalism is under fire, everybody who's doing this kind of work should be very proud to be standing up and saying, like, we need to get the truth out there. And so it's you, the truth tellers, who really should be lauded here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Oh, now I really want to keep talking. As soon as I get compliments, I want to. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do my shutdown. My name is Amethysta Herrick. I almost call myself Erica Herrick. It was about to fall out of my mouth. And which, quick aside, I had a fiance named Erica, and she broke up with me like 4 days before we were supposed to get married. And she had reasons, presumably. I don't know what they were. It's not that important. But somebody else said, you know what, I really think it was just because she didn't want to go by the name Erica Herrick. And I said, it's possible. Very, very possible. Maybe probable.
My campaign's manager's name is Jennifer Fenn. So her name that she goes by is Jen Fenn. Jen Fenn.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, it fits her. It definitely fits her.
It does. Well, I don't know who it is, but I just love it. It sounds fun. So, all right, sorry, shutting it down. I'm Dr. Amethysta Herrick. I was talking with Dr. Erica Deuso about what it's like to be transgender, what it's like to run for mayor at this point in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and then in general, just doing what it takes to make the world a better place. So thank you again so much, Erica.
Thank you for having me. Anytime. My door is always open.